Okay, this is an up-close macro review of Defense Grid Gold, the lockdown level, one of my favorite levels. In one of my favorite tower defense games, Defense Grid Gold. This is being played on the OnLive game service using their game system. You can also get it on PC. Lockdown is the second to the last level, and one of the hardest in the game. We're going to gold star it for this review. Actually, we're going to gold medal it. They're not stars, they're medals in Defense Grid. And they're not easy to earn in Defense Grid because you've got to conserve your resources and build wisely. Your resources are on the top left. What makes this level fun and challenging is the massive amount of enemies they throw at you, which include aerial targets as well as ground targets. And let's watch how this unfolds. You're going to find yourself getting hit early in this level. In fact, you'll feel like you're losing fairly quickly, about the 4th or 5th wave. But you've got to survive. You've got to just push through. I built one missile launcher on the top right of the screen. Just start with one. The problem with missile launchers is they're expensive. The only thing they shoot are aerial targets, and they don't touch your ground targets, so you're wasting money not destroying ground targets. But one of them is nice just to keep your airspace clear early on, to let your weak green guns, the targets or the towers that are green are the weakest, and the guns are just useless when they're green, but they cost money to upgrade to orange and then red. So we've got to survive with green for a while. Now, the most basic trick, or the most basic strategy that you'll use the entire way through Defense Grid, is to extend the amount of time that it takes your enemies to get from point A to point B. The longer you keep them on screen, the more you can hit them with various weapons. So at first I'm making them walk a lengthy path to get to the cores, which they're trying to steal and run off screen with. All the while hitting them with guns, and pretty soon here there'll be a bunch of towers shooting them from long range as well. You earn resources by destroying enemies, and if any of those cores get off the screen, we lose any chance of getting a gold medal. In fact, you lose any chance of even getting a silver medal. So we've got to play this perfectly, and it's hard at first. That's why this level is so challenging, because it quickly just beats you down, which you'll see soon. Now keep an eye on those resources on the top left. 200 is a magic number early on, because 200 resources will buy me a cannon, which is powerful but fires slowly. It has a long range, or I can use it to upgrade a machine gun and make it not useless. Adding 200 resources or 200 bucks onto a machine gun makes them actually quite powerful. And then if you upgrade those to red, they're really powerful, which you'll see near the end. Here's what you've got to worry about in this level. Some of these fast-moving guys will steal cores and make it halfway back through the map, at which point they'll be destroyed, but then the cores are floating slowly back to where they belong, and they'll be picked up by other fast-moving enemies, which then have a much shorter path to the end, a much shorter distance, and you don't have as much time to blow them up. It's very important to get rid of the enemies as quickly as possible. You do not want to let them take those cores halfway back, and you certainly don't want to let them get those cores almost all the way off the screen, or you'll be in real trouble. You see how much additional power a level 2 gun gives you over a level 1. A level 1 gun is useless. They're only good for directing enemies. Always plan ahead when placing guns. They have a short range, and even though they're cheap at first, at 100 resource points, they are expensive to upgrade. This is where the level really starts challenging you, and this is why I like this particular level, because you don't have enough firepower to get rid of all of the enemies before they collect the cores. And pretty soon another wave will start onto the screen as the old wave is heading off the screen with your cores. Let's watch what happens! I quickly built a bunch of cannons, which are long-range, powerful weapons that fire slowly. They'll help keep the air power in check, while also bombarding enemy targets on the ground. That was close, but a bunch of level 2 machine guns will take care of some enemies racing for the exit. What you may or may not know is that I do have a orbital laser I can drop on these bad guys if I really get into danger, but then I lose the resource points. So you don't want to use that unless you absolutely have to.
The core has been returned. We got one back.
Now this is where I'm getting a bit worried, because there's some powerful enemies all marching off the screen with cores in a row. And I don't have very many powerful weapons yet, so I'm in trouble. This is bad. Yeah, there's no way I'm making it through this without using a laser. Which is awful, because I'm going to lose the resource points I would have gained if these enemies were destroyed with my turrets. And the laser takes a while to recharge as well. But in order to survive, I've got to do it. I have to upgrade some of my guns to level 2 and 3. It was a necessary evil, but in the long term it will pay off. I'll see you back here in part 2.